Welcome back to another 10-Minute Tuesday, guys. Joey is sick this week, so it's just Carter and I. So what we're going to do is we get a lot of questions from people asking how many decoys they need, and a lot of people are super vague. Like, we'll literally just get a question where it's like, how many decoys do I need during the season? Which is very hard to answer that question because it really just freaking depends on what you're hunting and your situation and all that stuff. So before we go into it, because what Carter's going to do is he's going to give me 5 different hunting scenarios, and I'm going to tell him what decoys I'd be bringing during that hunt or what you could hunt with, and it's going to vary a little bit. But before we go into that, I just want to talk a little bit about like some general stuff with decoys, okay? First off, you don't need the decoy spreads that you see people put out in videos. Like even what sometimes we're hunting over, you don't need that many decoys to be successful. You don't need top of the line decoys to go out and shoot birds, but they can help, right? Like there are certain things that can help, and I think this is like a progression of a waterfowl hunter, just like everybody else, just like everything else. You know, if you become a photographer, right? This will be relatable for you, Carter. Mm-hmm. When you start taking pictures, you're not using the brand new top of the line Nikon.
No, I had a $300 used.
That's correct. You're buying like a Rebel, a T3i, or a T5i. Like, well, I don't know what you're getting. A D300 maybe, or I don't know.
Yep.
Something like that, right? You're starting off somewhere. You go out there, you learn how to use the camera, you figure it out a little bit, and then you say to yourself, you know what would be really sweet is if I had a camera that was really, really nice. So then you go and you maybe you take a leap, but not to the highest level camera ever.
Nope.
You might buy a middle of the line camera.
Yep.
Okay. And so on and so forth. As you get better at something, as time goes on, the thing you have is serviceable and you learn from it, and then you can upgrade if you want. That's what a lot of people do. A lot of people start out with used piece of crap decoys that they bought at the flea market or at a, trade show from a buddy used or whatever it is, man, like off of Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and there's nothing wrong with that. I still have decoys that I use to this day that I bought on Facebook Marketplace.
Yep.
So don't feel like you need to go out and buy top of the line decoys, especially if you're starting out. Dude, go to Facebook Marketplace, buy the cheapest freaking decoys you can get your hands on, and just go try it out, right? Second thing is, don't be afraid to mix decoys together. You can use different brands of decoys with other brands of decoys. You can use decoys that look like crap with decoys that look really good. You can put out full bodies and silhouettes together in a field. Obviously, you can run all silhouettes if you want. You can run all full bodies if you want. I've seen people kill them over only shells. There's really no thing here that I'm going to tell you, if you only go out with shells, you'll never kill any birds. That's just not true. Certain situations, those shells are not going to perform the same as a brand new decoy is going to, or a top of the line decoy is going to. There are situations where if you're like landing birds to check them for bands, or if you're hunting in a really intimate setting where birds are going to have a chance to see you really, really well or get super close, you might want something like a Dave Smith decoy. Like, it legitimately will make a difference. If you have the best decoy, the best looking decoy, that makes a difference, but it doesn't mean you have to have these things.
Yep.
So, okay, Carter, lay these 5 things out for me.
First scenario.
Yep.
Early season, hunting September geese.
Okay. This one, I would say a little bit play it by ear. And all I'll say is this. Typically, you would start out with a bigger spread.
Yep.
Okay? You're going to want to set a pretty big spread. I'd say start with 100 decoys for sure. If you can get to 200, I don't think that's probably a bad idea.
Are you doing family groups?
I'm putting family groups out in the field. I'm doing groups of 3 to 4. I'm probably spreading that thing out pretty far and wide. I don't think you need to have them really tight and clumped up. I don't believe in the fact that you need to have like a single runway sitting in front of you for these birds to land in. I think that the people that set the best looking spreads and are the most successful don't do that. They set spreads that are very randomized. Obviously random by design, but spread far and wide. If you are doing that, unless you're hunting migrators and you get into a situation where birds become super, super stale, do not be afraid to say, screw that. Let's set 24 DSDs in a field, or let's take our nicest 30 decoys and let's put them in a field and try and run that. There are a lot of times where birds will get super stale in September, and I think people just keep running the same thing, and they get really stuck in this pattern, especially when you're young hunting, of putting out the same 200 decoys constantly. You just don't have to do that. So if it's not working, change it up, try something else.
For sure. The next one would be duck opener on a lake.
Duck opener on a lake. Okay, so on a lake to me tells me it's probably a little bigger body of water,
Yep.
not a little pothole or something. So if I'm hunting a lake on duck opener, I'm probably using 36-ish decoys, maybe up to 60, depending on the situation. Some guys like Joey would always want to throw like 60 for sure, I would bet.
Of course.
Which there's nothing wrong with it. But to me, I think probably 36, 3 dozen decoys would be a really good place to start, and you should be able to pick those up. Facebook Marketplace, super cheap.
What are you doing for spinner-wise, or jerk rig, or?
Well, was this the first year in Minnesota where it was legal to have motion decoys on opener?
Second, I think.
Okay. I mean, I'm putting probably 2 to 3 spinners out there.
Okay.
I would say jerk rig without a doubt. I think the jerk rig is one of the most underutilized parts of motion to your decoy spreads.
For sure.
And I'm definitely using a flashback or two.
Yep.
So
any motion you can get.
Yeah, probably a couple lucky ducks. Probably a couple of flashbacks and maybe a jerk rig.
All right.
Just get a lot of motion.
Late season ducks.
Okay.
Whether you want a field or water, whatever you'd like.
I think one of our other scenarios is.
Oh, yep. Late season.
We'll go,
late season water.
Okay, so late season ducks on water.
Mm-hmm.
Late season ducks on water, I'm probably throwing more like 48 decoys.
Okay.
It totally depends on the situation, but late season ducks to me means I'm hunting a bigger open area probably.
When the little stuff is frozen up.
When the little stuff might be frozen up. And even if it's not, it might be close to it. So if there's birds that are coming in, if I'm hunting like migrating mallards, they're probably going to go to a bigger body of water. Not a guarantee, but I feel more confident that way. I don't know. I'd probably throw out 4 dozen, anywhere up to 5 dozen maybe decoys. Be strategic. You don't have to throw all mallards. In that late season situation, I'm probably adding in some diver decoys because I think it's super realistic. If you go and look at ducks on a lake in Minnesota late season, you're looking at a pretty good mix. A lot of the time, you're not just going to see all mallards out there.
All right.
So that's probably me.
Late season geese.
Man, this one is very dependent on your situation.
Hunting an X.
Hunting an X.
Yep, let's put it like that.
Hunting an X, I'm putting exactly how many birds I saw in that field in there. Maybe a little less.
Okay. Try to match it as well as you can.
I try to match it probably as well as I can. If I feel like I'm hunting a field that is an X that has a chance for there to be a building X, where like you could be seeing migrating birds or just you feel like your area could
hold
it's
more.
the start of an X, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like maybe you saw 100 birds in there yesterday, but you have 5,000 birds in town. So you feel like in the next couple days, if you watch it go to like 150 and then 200, like you might be building a 400 or 500 goose feed. Yeah, you could probably throw out 250 decoys out there if you really wanted to. But if you're hunting an X, man, late season, decent conditions on a good field, if you go out there with 100 decoys, silhouettes, full bodies, whatever, a lot of the time, you're probably going to be at least have a shot at it.
Okay. Then our final one here is field mallards.
Field mallards. Well, you know, on our podcast earlier, you said you would put 36 decoys out.
Goose decoys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that's enough, personally.
Okay.
I would probably go like just a lot of family groups again.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a couple of like little bigger clusters sprinkled in. But again, no like distinct opening for certain things. But I would probably run 60 to 100 goose decoys still, depending on how many mallards I'm seeing in that field. I mean, if you've got a good feed of like 300 or 400 mallards in a field, I'm pretty comfortable putting out like 100 decoys, 100 goose decoys. I would personally probably mix in just for the fucking fun of it. I'd probably put like 24 full body mallards out there.
Where are you putting
Or
your
silhouettes.
spinners?
Probably let's just do it with the wind.
Okay.
So like if the wind is off my back right shoulder, meaning birds are going to want to finish from my left to my right, I'm probably putting my spinners on the corner on the right.
Okay.
Just because I think birds will probably shortstop the spinner more than they're going to want to jump over it. So I'd probably put the spinner out in front
All
of
right.
them.
I ask that because the best field mallard hunt I've been on, in a group that kills a shit ton of field mallards, puts them 5 yards behind the blind.
Yeah, that makes sense because they want to shortstop it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because they think they're going to shortstop.
You're probably right. So
And
and
the
that's
shots-
that's the same reasoning as me.
The shots were 10 feet.
Yeah,
Crazy. I've never seen any other group I've hunted with do that.
yeah,
It there was like 4 or 5 of them 5 yards behind the blind.
yeah. You know, a lot of guys put their like really nice full body decoys like geese behind them too.
Yep.
Like Dave Smith's around the blinds and stuff. You
Yep.
know, but yeah, I think that what you're saying is probably same theory here. In my mind, those birds probably shortstop in that spinner.
Okay.
So wherever you want those birds to finish, and that's why if I've got like a crossing wind off my right shoulder, if that spinner's on my right corner, then hopefully they're going to swing in and try and shortstop that thing. So
Makes sense.
yeah. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. We appreciate it. We'll see you next week.